think we should be at that magical hour of 6 o'clock. So I'm going to say welcome to College of DuPage, our virtual new and prospective adult student session. My name's Angela Nakovic. I'm one of the adult admissions reps, and I'm going to take a moment to let my other guests who will be on this presentation with me this evening, two of our student ambassadors, Juan and Victoria, if you want to take a moment to introduce yourselves, take it away.
Hi, my name is Juan Perez-Chica. I graduated from the West Chicago Public High School. Here at the COD, I am a student ambassador captain. This is my fourth semester, and I'm looking to study cybersecurity and then transfer into Illinois Tech. I'm also an adult student as well.
Thanks, Juan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Morales. I graduated from Downers Grove South High School in 2021. This is my second year here at COD, and I'm studying interior design.
Oh, good. I have to hire you out, Victoria, if I want to do some remodeling. Since we know each other, maybe you'll give me a good rate. But thank you kindly for the introductions. And again, I'm Angela Nakovic, one of the adult admission reps. How the format of the evening is going to take place. What I would like to do is go through our presentation, information that will hopefully be helpful for all those that are attending. Some pieces may or may not be applicable, but then I want to have time. That's hence the reason going through the presentation. We'll definitely have time at the end to take some questions and answers. So Victoria and Juan are going to be helping me field those questions and answers, but I kindly ask, we'll get through the presentation, and then at the end, I promise you'll have time. So with that being said, we're going to get started. So welcome. Who are your adult admissions reps? Well, we're listed on this page, and at the end, I will actually have our contact information, phone number, email, so there's a way for you to get in touch with us. My coworker, Jeff Walker, works with students at the beginning of the alphabet, 19 and older, through with the last name beginning A through E. I'm in the middle of the alphabet with the letters F through the letter N. And then my coworker, Debbie Jaffe, works with students that have the last name beginning in O through Z. And again, we'll have contact information. You could take a screenshot of our info as a way to get in touch with us. And just letting you know, I've already lost connectivity with the internet connection. So in case I go off, I may have to come back in, but hopefully that won't be the case. So thank you for your patience. So the benefits of attending College of DuPage. I'm a little biased because I work at the college, but having attended a community college myself to take credits to transfer where I went for my bachelor's, it's affordable in comparison to other schools. Especially for those of you that are shouldering the responsibility of the tuition, affordable could be relative, right? But it is more affordable in comparison possibly to other schools or programs. Flexible. We do offer, which I will talk about, different ways to take classes, whether it's virtually like we're doing right now, meeting at a designated date and time on campus, hybrid, we'll talk about those options, but there are flexible ways to take classes. Transfer. Not everybody out there is looking to start at College of DuPage to transfer for a bachelor's degree. Some of you, like Juan mentioned, he is. Others of you may be looking to do a couple classes for a graduate school prerequisite. It really just depends on what you're looking to do. Professional certificates. I'll meet a lot of students that are maybe looking to change careers or kind of augment what they're already doing in their current career. So they want to look at doing some type of certification to upgrade their skills. And we do have small class sizes. So even though we have over 20,000 plus students at the college, Victoria and Juan could probably attest that the class sizes, you're not going to see more than 20, 25 students in a class. Now, it may be larger for some, but on the whole, that's the average. Now, areas and programs of study. One wing of the college is what we call our adult continuing education wing. And think of it this way, quick skills to get right away so you can apply, whether that's getting a commercial driver's license, looking at doing massage therapy, or for those of you in the workforce, say you're an engineer wanting to get project management or PMP certification. Continuing ed offers trainings and courses that are short term. It could be done in a week, it could be done in a month. But the goal is not per se to get a degree, because that's not that this wing of the college doesn't offer degrees, but specialized trainings to help you get a job, enhance the job that you're currently in. So check that out. They have some great programs. Now, another part of the college, which I'm guessing most of you are interested in learning more about, is the part of the college that offers college degrees and certificates. So I'm not going to spend your evening going through all 230. I'd have to look up our website. I haven't committed them to memory. But just a little brief background. When I'm saying starting at College of DuPage by earning a degree, like Juan mentioned, he wants to transfer to get a bachelor's degree. We have what's called our transfer degrees, which would be our AA or AS, which is an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science. AES is our Associate of Engineering Science. AFA would be an Associate of Fine Arts, which could be for music or art. And I'll stop at that. Those are typically degrees that students will earn if they want to start at College of DuPage and then go on and complete a bachelor's. So for example, an Associate of Arts would be a degree a student's doing if they want to go on and transfer and get their business administration degree in accounting. An AS would be if a student wants to go on and get a biology undergraduate degree. AES for those of you that are interested in engineering. So the AAS, which is the next degree, is what we call an applied science degree. Think of it this way: you're earning credits to be able to apply on the job, whether that's becoming a dental hygienist, whether that's becoming a welder, automotive technology, paralegal studies. You're applying that knowledge right away when you get that credential out in the workforce in a very specialized setting. People ask, oh, if I get my Associate of Applied Science, can I transfer? That depends, but it really isn't geared towards transfer. It's preparing you for a career in a technical education, career or technical education area. And then some of you out there may not be looking to do a degree at all, right? You already have a degree. If you're an adult student, I meet with many that already have a credential. You are looking to take classes to enhance what you've already done. And for those of you that got a degree a while ago, I would be one of them. Computer skills, I mean, you're constantly having to take classes to stay on top of technology and upgrade your skills. So we have a number of students that'll do classes for that reason. Now, for those of you out there, I kind of did some checking to see what some of you were interested in. I think one of our participants indicated certified nursing assistant, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to talk first about our health programs when we say selective health. What does that mean? For those of you that are interested, say in dental hygiene, radiography, nursing, sonography, nuclear medicine, they're what we call our selective health enrollment programs. And what that means is you're competing against other students for a spot in that particular program. Now, I'll talk about general admission requirements. You only have to be 18, a high school graduate, or have your GED or high school equivalency. That's general admission. This is a separate admission process. You're applying separately to gain admission into these programs. Doesn't mean you're going to get admitted. It means if I follow what these requirements are, I'm eligible to apply to this particular program, and I'm competing against other students for a spot in the program. So that's what we mean by when we say selective enrollment. We have a limited amount of spots. For example, with nursing, I was on admission for that program for about 10 plus years. We only have so many clinical spots for nursing students, so we can only take a certain amount. So that's what we mean when we say selective enrollment for health. Registration programs for that individual, if that individual is out here this evening that's interested, for example, in certified nursing assistant. It's not what we call a selective health program. It's registration process, meaning I go through the steps for registration. We typically have separate processes for these programs. General admission, and then you're looking at what do I need to do to register to become to get into the certified nursing assistant program. Well, there's a PDF or an admissions information that goes through. Oh, I got to take a physical. I got to get a background check. It'll walk you through the steps of what you need to do for these particular programs. And then once you've successfully completed all the steps, then you would be able to get a permit and register into these programs. Now, I can't say you're competing for a spot. There are, there's deadlines to be able to get into these programs. But again, it's not what we would call a selective enrollment program. You just follow the steps of what you need to do, documentation that you need to get in, and then you're allowed to register for these programs. Now, flexible learning formats. I had started a little bit in the beginning when we were talking about the benefits of attending College of DuPage. One of the options, and please, this is whatever fits best for you. Some students will be like, no, I would never want to do this. It's just letting you know what your options are. Online courses. Now, for those of you Younger students out there, and not even younger, high school, maybe your transfer from another college or university during the pandemic, you were probably doing what we call virtual class meetings. What we're doing right now, right? We're meeting on a designated day, which is this Tuesday night at 6 p.m. to attend this session. That's what we call virtual. Online is completely different. You're not meeting at a designated date and time. You get a syllabus, which will outline all your assignments. You may have to check in and turn assignments in by defined deadlines. There might be message boards where you have to complete, say you did a reading for the class, then you'll have to post a comment about the reading. You're not meeting in real time for this online class. You're getting the defined syllabus of what the information is of what you have to turn in, and you got from the beginning of the term till the end of the term to get it done, and deadlines for exams and papers and other assignments. So online and virtual are completely different, two different things. Hopefully that clarifies. Hybrid's a combo platter, right? It's part of it you're going to be in class, and part of it may be online or virtual. So that's what we mean when we say it's a hybrid class. And then the good old fashioned in-person classes where everything's done in class. You come to the campus, you meet, we have 16-week sessions, 12-week sessions, 10-week. And during the summer, we typically have 8 or 5-week sessions, 10-week during the summer as well. Credit by proficiency. That means if you can demonstrate, say you've been on the job a while. For example, I met an engineer that is a network administrator. He's like, I'll take your intro to networking class, but I've been doing this on my job for the last 10 or 15 years. Okay, so he spoke with the instructor, demonstrated his knowledge based on what he learned on the job, and was able to go into a different level. You can't just say, oh yeah, I think I know how to do this. You clearly have to demonstrate some competency in a particular area. We have established exams at the College of DuPage, I want to say in about 20 different classes, where you take an exam, you pay a fee, you successfully pass that exam, and that allows you to earn credit that way. Again, it's really for those that have perhaps gained it outside of the classroom in a professional setting. So that might be an option. And then our college level examination program, that's a nationwide program. Students can, if you've ever heard of the term CLEP out, same premise, you would take an exam for English composition or 1101, successfully pass the exam, pay a fee, and get the credit. Now keep in mind, especially those out there that are going to transfer, we may accept some CLEP credits towards your degree at COD, but not every bachelor's institution is going to accept. You'd have to check ahead of time. So I always tell students, these are great options, but if you're transferring, the transfer institution may or may not. Just because we accept it doesn't mean they will. So just keep that in mind. But those are different ways to learn and earn credit. The centers, we do have centers aside from where I'm broadcasting live from College of DuPage Glen Ellen campus this evening. We do have centers in Addison, Westmont, Carroll Stream, and Naperville. You see what you can do at these centers. You can register, make your tuition payments, receive counseling and advising, take some of your general education classes. And they have computer labs where you can do your homework there as well. Just keep in mind, not every program or class is offered at the center. So even though you may be close to Naperville, you may not be able to do a particular program there. But hey, if you could do a gen ed, hey, I have to take English composition because I'm transferring to get my bachelor's. Absolutely take it at Naperville if you live 5 minutes away, especially tomorrow with all that snow. Why would you want to come trek out to Glen Ellen when you're closer to one of the locations? But just keep that in mind, because some students, I know the centers, they're great. Just know what they offer. Not every program is offered out at the centers. 3+1. Just want to talk a little bit about what that means. Now, please note, just because you see these particular 3+1s up here, don't think this is limited to where you can transfer. It's just these specific programs. We have specific agreements with these schools. Doesn't mean you're like, well, I don't see DePaul on here for accounting. Well, we don't have a 3+1 with DePaul for accounting. These are the 3+1s we have. But just note, we do have transfer agreements with numerous schools. But specifically, what does a 3+1 entail? Let me tell you a little bit about it. I'm going to speak about the computer information systems and computer internetworking technologies because I know a bit about that area. So for those of you out there, say you want to earn your Associate of Applied Science in Computer Information Systems, Software Development. What Lewis is saying is that if you earn that degree at College of DuPage, you go full-time, it would take you 2 years. Obviously, for those of you working out there, you may have to go part-time, and that's okay. What Lewis is saying is that they'll accept all of those credits. And then guess what? What they'll do? They'll let you go beyond the Associate of Applied Science and take probably 6, 7, 8 more classes at College of DuPage and transfer all of that over to Lewis. And then you have about 8 or 9 classes to complete for your bachelor's degree when you're at Lewis, and you'll come out with your Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems. Now, if you were to start at Lewis and go on and get your bachelor's degree in Computer Information Systems, you would be looking at about $124,000 to complete your bachelor's degree. If you go the route of COD with this specialized 3+1, not only would you come out with your Associate of Applied Science in CIS, which you can put on your resume, maybe get a job, maybe your employer pays for you to complete the bachelor's at Lewis then, but you come out with your Associate of Applied Science, everything transfers per this specialized agreement, and you walk out paying almost $30,500. 30,000? 124,000. So you come out with an associate's and a bachelor's degree. So any of those programs that are on here, if any of you are interested in nursing, human services, technology education, computer science, cybersecurity, definitely consider the 3+1. Caveat, it's not for students that already have a degree somewhere else. It's the entirety of the degree being done at College of DuPage and transferring into one of these programs. So just keep that in mind as well. Now, transfer information, aside from 3+1, that's one option. For those of you that aren't looking at those program areas that I showed you, for example, you're looking to transfer to get your bachelor's degree in another area. Be rest assured that College of DuPage, along with most Illinois community colleges, are part of what we call the IAI, or Illinois Articulation Initiative. And what does that mean to you? It means that what you take while you're at College of DuPage, if it's IAI designated, will transfer to that bachelor's institution. Let me give you an example. You take Psychology 1100 at College of DuPage. You want to go to Northern Illinois University to get your bachelor's degree. NIU is going to recognize that psychology class as meeting requirements for the bachelor's program you're looking at NIU. Saves you time, saves you money. That's what the IAI is all about. You're doing the general education requirements at College of DuPage versus if you were to start at a bachelor's institution. And that bachelor's institution in Illinois is recognizing those credits meeting requirements for their bachelor's program. We also have sites on our College of DuPage transfer site. So not all of you want to stay in Illinois, right? Maybe you want to go outside of Illinois. I did my degree in Wisconsin. So we have information for those of you that are looking to transfer outside of Illinois. How's that going to work? Our counselors and advisors are here as well to help. Number 1, too, is going to be the representative from that college or university that you want to transfer to. We can help up until a certain point, first, second semester. But for those of you that are going to be transferring, the representatives from the other colleges and universities, not only in Illinois, but outside of Illinois, visit our campus often. And you can set up a time, you can visit them, you can check the schedule of when they're going to be here. Also go visit them. Find out what the requirements are and that you're on the path you need to be while you're at COD. Tuition. Yes, it's affordable. Well, in comparison to what, right? It's still, if you have to pay for it, it's still an expense. But currently it's $140 per credit hour for those of you that reside inside College of DuPage's community college district. I'm not being a meanie if you live outside of COD's district. I do too. I live in another community college district. Students that live in our district are going to pay one rate. And why is that rate generated that way? It's not to complicate things. It's based on taxes. Where one lives, you're already being taxed. So it's only fair that you pay one rate. And that's $140 per credit hour. So for example, that psychology class that I talked about transferring to NIU is 3 credit hours. So that's how we determine your tuition. 3 times 140 would be $420 for that class. And then we give an approximate as well. So full-time students are typically taking 15 hours, which I hate when we do that, 15 hours. Well, what does 15 hours mean? About 5 classes. Part-time would be 2 classes. So 6 credit hours would be $840 for the semester, $2,100 full-time for the semester. For those of you that reside outside of our district, your tuition rate is going to be $327 per credit hour. Now, here's some exceptions. You may be eligible for the in-district rate if your community college doesn't have the program that you're seeking, and we offer it at College of DuPage. You'd have to reach out to your home community college to find out if we have what's called a chargeback or not. That's not something we would be able to do. You would reach out. So if you're in Moraine Valley's district, that's where I'm at, or Harper or Oakton, you'd be reaching out directly to your home community college to say, hey, look, there's this program I want to do. You're my home community college. You don't offer it. Would you be able to, do you have a chargeback with COD? Keep in mind, for those of you that are out of our district with health programs, though, selective health, just because we may have a chargeback, you still have to get into the program. And there still might be a tier of priority for in-district residents. So just keep that in mind, because I get a number of questions. Hey, I'm trying to get into your sonography program, but I live in Elburn, Illinois. Well, priority goes to our in-district residents. You may get a chargeback from your community college. It doesn't mean you're going to still get into the program. Just keep that in mind, though. And then if you're employed full-time in our district as well, you may be eligible for the in-district tuition rate. We also offer payment plans, so you don't have to come up with the tuition all at once. Some of you may be filing your free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. Back on October 1st, students were actually eligible to start applying for the 2023-2024 school year. But if you're still even trying to get into this session, our spring session began just yesterday on the 23rd of January. We do have some later start classes beginning in February and March. If your plan is, I want to apply for financial aid, you would be filing the 2022-2023 FAFSA to see if you would be eligible for any financial aid for this spring session. Just keep in mind, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for the aid to process. It's not going to happen overnight. What are the requirements? You need to be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-resident. DACA, not eligible for the FAFSA. You also have to have a high school diploma, GED, HSE completion, and you must be pursuing an eligible degree or certificate at College of DuPage. So financial aid, you fill out the FAFSA, the federal government's going to determine your eligibility for the federal Pell Grant. That's nice because that's money you don't have to pay back with the federal Pell Grant. There could be loans that you may be eligible for too. Most students that have filed the FAFSA are eligible for loans. So that FAFSA that you submit determines your eligibility for all types of aid that are out there. Doesn't mean you're going to be eligible, but that one form, you don't have to apply for grants separately from loans. It takes care of it. Just note, for those of you that are going to be registering, payment is due immediately upon registering for classes. So keep that in mind. Like I said, it's going to take at least 3 weeks, especially those of you that are trying to start in the spring session. You got to keep that in mind. So it's either going to be, hey, do I need to get a payment plan, pay up front, wait till the aid comes in? You got to keep that in mind too when you're registering. I know I always had to as well. Like, okay, well, how much aid do I have? What am I going to be paying out of pocket? Because if you register, tuition's due immediately. The alternative application is for those students, like I mentioned, that are DACA undocumented or our transgender student population. You're welcome to go to the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, or ISAC.org, to learn more about eligibility for this particular grant program. When I say MAP, I say Monetary Assistance Program, and that's the Illinois grant that's awarded to eligible students. So since you wouldn't be eligible to file the FAFSA, this might be an alternative to see if there's some free money out there that you may be eligible for. Paying for college, don't worry, we're almost done. I think we got a few more slides and then I'm going to be happy to take your questions. So thanks for bearing with me. Outside of financial aid, and I got a really good question today from a student that stopped in the office, talked about FAFSA. Scholarships are separate than FAFSA. So that's a separate process to apply for scholarships. Now, I'm going to say it, and I don't care who hears me. We have terrible scholarship deadlines. Let me say it again. We have terrible scholarship deadlines. So be mindful. We already are coming up, what, end of January? March is our deadline for our fall scholarships, the term beginning in August. So keep that in the back of your mind, that that's the deadline. We've already passed our deadline for spring. That was back in November. So keep that in the forefront that, hey, if I'm going to be looking at any type of scholarship at College of DuPage, March is when I'll be looking and gearing up for applying for scholarships for my fall session, which begins in August. And then November is when I'll be applying for scholarships for the spring session that just started yesterday, beginning in January. We offer a number of scholarships. And at the site that you see here, Academic Works, I saw some of you had already applied. You have to apply though, that's key. You can't apply for scholarships, receive financial aid notification or anything of the such, meet with a counselor, take placement tests or anything until you apply for general admission. But you would be able to go to this Academics Work site, go in, and what's really cool is it's going to ask you a few questions. You answer the questions, and based on how you answered the questions, it's going to feed back to you scholarships you may be eligible for based on how you answered. Whether you're a first generation student like myself, it could be based on the GPA that you got at your high school or your previous college or university. So based on some simple questions asked up front, that helps you, instead of sifting through hundreds of scholarships, it'll enable you to have it narrowed down, which is kind of nice. It saves you the time. So feel free to peruse and check that out if you've already applied. If you go to academicworks.com, academicworks.com, you could start going in there, at least answer those questions. So again, just because those scholarships come back, it just means that, hey, based on what you said, when you answer these questions, you may be eligible. So check that out. Now, resources for students. One of them is what we're doing right now, adult admissions. For those of you that haven't applied yet, if you've got questions, I'm going to put the contact information for your rep up at the end of the session. So we're the starting point. We help you navigate. If it's not us, we kind of help troubleshoot where you need to go and who you need to be speaking to. Counseling and advising, really good for students that are first-time college students, undecided. After you apply, you'll be able to sit down with a counselor or an advisor and get help picking out your classes, creating an education plan, maybe discussing if you're undecided what some classes would be advisable to take while you're still making that decision. Now, faculty advisors, I often make referrals to for students that know a particular area that they want to go into already. For example, I had a gentleman that has a law degree from the former Yugoslavia. He wants to do his paralegal studies certificate here in the US. I had him reach out directly to our program in paralegal because he's having credentials evaluated. He wants to learn about paralegal. He wants to sit down and talk to someone specifically in paralegal. So if you know there's a particular program that you're interested in, I will tend to have students speak to that faculty advisor, or what we call a program advisor. They know when classes are going to be offered. They know about transfer opportunities in their area. So that's what we mean when we say faculty advisors. I like to include program advisors as well, because they work very closely with that particular program. Career services. Maybe you don't know what you want to do. Number one, maybe you took some time out of high school and you worked. Maybe you already have a degree and you've been doing the same thing, maybe like me, for the last 25 years, and you want to change the scenery. You want to do something different, but you don't know what. Like, hey, I got to work another 5, 10, 15 years. What should I be doing next? So whether you're recently out of high school, whether you've dropped out of college or did some college and took a break from it, and you're trying to figure things out, that's what career services is for. Sit down with a career specialist, make an appointment. Number one, they're not going to tell you what to do. I've seen a career specialist. That's not the goal of career advising. The goal is, let's look at what you've done or your likes and dislikes. Let's look at the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and see where the jobs are at. And then let's see what you need to have to be eligible to apply to that job. Do you need to get education? Do you need to get trainings? So career services, you could set up an appointment to explore your options. Veteran services, for those of you that served, thank you very much. They help you access the services. So if you are eligible for the Illinois Veterans Grant or the post 9/11 GI Bill or the GI Bill, I know my dad got that when he was a Vietnam vet. They'll help you access the different types of services and funding that you may be eligible for. Learning Commons. You may need help with that math class coming back. You may be rusty. It's been a little while. You may need to find a tutor. You may need to work on speech or presentation skills because you got to take Speech 1100 or Introduction to Speech. Our Learning Commons offers a wide variety of tutoring services, not only for particular like classes that everyone has to take, like English composition, speech, like writing assistance, speech assistance, but if you're struggling with a particular class, they can possibly connect you with a tutor. Center for Access and Accommodations. For those of you that perhaps had what we call an IEP or an individual education plan, you want those continuum of services that you perhaps had at your high school or your previous college. Definitely, we can continue those services. Whether you need extra testing time, you are hearing impaired. I know I always have to sit up at the front of the class, so if I'm screaming now, I apologize. Whatever service you need, we can continue those services when you come to College of DuPage. And then we also have what's called Student Success Navigators for first-time college students right after you apply. They'll be your, again, they'll help link you to different things at the college. Like, oh, do you need to go get your library card at the library, or do you need tutoring assistance? They'll help you get off to a good start at the college. We're coming to the final stretch, folks. Thank you. I see no one's left yet, so that's a good sign. So hopefully you have some good questions for us at the end. Student life. Now, again, this could be applicable for some of you in the audience, and others may be like, you know what, I have 2 kids and I work 50 hours a week. You're putting student life up. Well, some of you out there still do have some time. You may be able to be active. Hey, like our ambassadors, our busy adult Juan, he's finding time to do tours and it fits into his schedule. Just letting you know, wherever you're at, there are activities to participate in at the college, and I wanted to share info. So we have athletics. Division III is our level for many of our collegiate sports. Clubs and organizations. I believe we have 60 plus clubs and organizations that you can choose from. Student ambassadors. Victoria and Juan are on with us this evening. The great opportunity to, there they are. They tour prospective students. They've toured dignitaries around the college. They know more probably than I do about the college. I'll come to them if I'm rusty about things. Great to have public speaking skills, you know, on the resume. The MAC, that's for students, community members. I think we're having the Warhol exhibit come through. We had the Frida exhibit last year or 2 years ago when it was COVID. I mean, I grew up in Chicago. I don't feel like always having to drive back into the city for something going on. I mean, so if there's ballet, jazz, music, performances, the MAC has them. And nice parking. You don't have to park and spend an arm and a leg. So check out what we have at the MAC. And then the Culinary Center is, Juan and Victoria, I don't know if you guys have partaken in the cafe or the dining or the culinary market. Yes, yes, and yes. I've been to all three. Student run by our culinary students. I don't bring rolls to Thanksgiving anymore, or the pumpkin cheesecake is absolutely delicious. Our students do a great job. You support their scholarships and funds by participating at the market. So take advantage. If you are tired of bringing your own lunch to class, take a moment to head and see what they have there. Now, I like how we jump from talk. Oh, go ahead, Juan. What were you going to say?
So I actually just talked to Tim the other day when I was touring the CHC. He told me that the market's opening back up this semester on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Oh, thank you. Soup, sandwiches, thank you. And Tim Myers is one of our faculty coordinators of the culinary program. So thanks for the heads up, Juan. I have to wait. Usually we'll get menus and then we'll share it with one another to see who's going to make a run to the culinary market and pick up goodies. Thanks for that. That's good to know. So be on the lookout. It's open to the community too. So we go from delicious food to the boring subject of transcript evaluation, but it is a necessity. So high school transcripts, definitely send those in for 2 reasons. Number one, it may exempt you from doing some placement tests. And number two, for those of you that are applying for federal financial aid, I know that slide was a couple slides back, but one of the eligibility requirements is that you have to have a high school diploma or a GED. So we need to have that on file, especially if you're filing a FAFSA. That's one of the credentials or one of the eligibility requirements. For those of you in the audience, and again, I don't know, I'm guessing some just are more recent high school graduates. Some of you may have college credits from another college or university. If you want those credits evaluated, or even equally important as proof of prerequisite. Say you're trying to jump into calculus 2 and you want to transfer for an engineering degree, but you did calc 1 at North Central. Well, we need to get that transcript from North Central, right? So we can see that you completed that class successfully, so you can go into the next level here at COD. So make sure you get your college transcripts in. Number one, if you plan on earning a degree or certificate with us and you wish to have your college credits evaluated towards a COD credential. And two, if you're going to be trying to take some classes that require a proof of prerequisite that you completed at another college or university. And for those of you, there's another group of students, I meet with many of them, they earn their credential outside of the US. We, or the College DuPage Records Office, does not evaluate foreign transcripts or credits earned outside of the US. There is an organization though known as NACIS. Please don't ask me what the acronym stands for. I don't know, but if you go to naces.org, they'll have a listing of different transcript evaluation services. Two of them that I'm very familiar with and that I've worked with in the past are ece.org, and I do know that credential. It's Educational Credential Evaluators. They're based out of Milwaukee. No, you don't have to drive to Milwaukee to get your credits evaluated. Everything can be done online. Or World Education Services, WES.org. And again, if you earned your credential outside of the US and you would like to see if those credits that, they'd have to be translated by a third party, and then that evaluation would be sent to our records office, then you can see, hey, I did physics in Germany. Sorry, I always use Germany. That's where my dad immigrated from. I did physics in my German university. Maybe it'll count in the US. It may or may not. Hey, if it saves you time and money getting credit for what you did, then it's worth having that evaluation. So just know those are the different options for transcript evaluation. Now the next steps. Each of you out there may be at a different point. So I'm briefly going to just touch on some of them because I did see some of you already applied. So thank you for that. So if you didn't apply, that would be your first step. We will not evaluate transcripts. You will not be able to meet with a counselor. Your financial aid will not be able to be processed. Many things will not be able to happen until you've applied. So that would be step number one. Set up your student password. We will send you a welcome email after you apply, letting you know how you go about doing that, because then that will help you access your student portal or account, and then you'll be able to go in there and be able to register for classes. Placement tests, let me mention for this current session, spring, we've currently waived the writing and reading placement, guided self-placement or placement requirement, but it will be in effect again for summer and fall. So you definitely would want to check the website for placement testing to see if you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Exempt. Right now for spring, everybody's exempt from reading and writing, especially those of you that already have a degree or you have 12 credit hours or more. You're not having to take writing and reading placement tests, especially if you earned a degree already. Math, put math out there. Most students have to take the math placement test unless you did a higher level of math, like AP level in high school, or you did a college level math course. It just depends. You can check with your admissions rep. We'll know whether or not you need to take it. You may not need to. If you're just taking a few classes and they're not math, we're not going to make you sit for a math placement test. Transcripts we talked in depth about, so I'm going to skip. I talked to you prior about advising and counseling, especially for those first-time college students. Faculty advisors for those of you that are going into a more specialized area. Office of Access and Accommodations, we talked about that. Boy, we talked about all this already, but I guess I'm just having to reiterate it. I worked on this presentation with my colleagues. I'm like, didn't I talk about this already? Yes, I did, but it's just a recap. Financial aid, we talked about filing the FAFSA. One thing I didn't mention, I'll throw out there with financial aid, for those of you that already have a bachelor's degree, keep in mind, You can apply for financial aid if you're going to be doing a certificate or degree at College of DuPage, but you are no longer eligible for the federal Pell Grant. Let me repeat that. You are no longer eligible for the federal Pell Grant. I know it's disappointing to hear. I know when I went to graduate school, it was Lone City for me. So it would be the same for you, unless you're paying out of pocket, no free money eligibility. You're still welcome to apply for scholarships though. So not our rule, it's the federal government or US Department of Ed. New student advising and registration, I think that session already took place already for this session, but you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't typically NSAR or the new, I'm talking about orientation. Stop.
Yes,
We'll get to that in a moment. The new orientation is what I'm talking about. Is it typically when we do it in August, is it like the first week of classes or the week before classes start?
It's usually the week before classes, and
Thank you.
we also have a winter one that just passed. So
I was just gonna say, probably right when we came back, that week of January 3rd is typically, and they don't do as many sessions, but that's passed as well. But for those of you starting in the fall, thank you, Juan, that it's typically, we start in mid-August, so it's typically the week before our fall session starts. So that's the next steps. And then this last page, I'm gonna put up, if you have questions, there's Jeff's contact information for those of you with a last name A through E. Jeff's email is there, his phone. Go ahead and take your shot. Then I'm in the middle. So feel free, if your last name begins in F or F through N, and you're 19 or older, those are the students I work with. Please feel free to reach out. And then my coworker Debbie works with students O through Z. So her email and phone are listed there. So go ahead and take a shot of that. And then, oh my God, I'm going to come up for air. Thank you for bearing with me during that presentation. Hopefully you learned a lot, and we're going to stop the screen share now, and we're going to come on and we're going to take questions. So any questions based on everything we discussed, from applying, financial aid, scholarships? Now's your time. If you want to put the question in the Q&A, Juan, Victoria, and I are ready. Woohoo. Or, someone raised their hand. You want to type your question into the Q&A box, please. It's below your screen. It should be on the bottom of your screen. It says Q&A. You can go in there, or you can go into the chat, either or. And if you type your question in there, we'll definitely be able to answer it. Everyone's still staying. Now, we'll be on for a little while, but if you don't have questions, again, feel free to reach out to your admissions rep if you need some guidance, and we can direct you with your next steps. Ooh, Juan or Victoria, do you want to look in the Q&A, or shall I? Got a question. Ooh, can you unmute, Juan?
So the question is from Jasmine. Do you guys offer any practice for the placement exams? No, we don't, but actually the tutoring center, or the Learning Commons, does offer placement exam tutoring or any sort of help that you might need preparing for those exams. So you can just send them an email saying you're a student looking to prepare for those exams, and they'll be able to set you up with someone who could tutor you throughout the exam. We also, when you are going to take your first exam, there's a learning module inside of the system that helps you develop your mathematics skills before you go in and take your next 3 exams.
Great answer. They're called workshops. They offer the workshops. That's a really good question. Thanks, Juan. Great answer. They do have the workshops. So if you want to brush up, and that's a good point, Jasmine. Thanks for asking that. Because some students, I had one person say, you know what, my college writing skills, I still want to do the guided self-placement. Even though you said I don't have to take it, I want to feel comfortable because I know I'm going to have to write in these college level classes. So I just want to see where I'm at. So yeah, take advantage of the workshops if you can. We have another question too.
So the question is, hi, I have completed my GED and I want to register to computer science degree. Should I do the placement exams?
To what I mentioned, I typically will tell students that, I mean, if you just successfully completed your GED, feel confident, and congratulations. And I know we just met yesterday, so very nice to see you. Well, see your name in here, but we saw each other via Zoom yesterday. Yeah, I would recommend doing the placement. It's up to you to do the placement because you successfully completed your GED, and our guided self-placement is a review of what you already did on your GED in high school. So it's fresh in your mind. But if you feel, like you said, hey, my writing skills, my reading comprehension, if you want to do that for your own, like, hey, I still want to see where I fall with college level reading and writing. I also encourage students, perhaps, I know with my family, my family that English wasn't their first language, right? They learned English after they immigrated here. So oftentimes I'll tell students, hey, if you feel comfortable, because I feel the same. I know German, but I'm rusty with speaking another language. So if English is your second language, you may want to see, like, I have some students who are like, oh my gosh, my conversational skills are great, but I want to work on my reading comprehension. My short answer is it's up to you. You successfully completed the GED, so feel confident that what you did on the GED, you would do fine. But if you're feeling like, you know what, I might want to work on the writing and reading, it's entirely up to you. I hope I answered it in the best way I could. It's not required, but again, because you did the GED so recently, entirely up to you. Now, math, you will have to do math. Like Juan said, there is a pre-setup that assesses where you're at before you come in and do the proctored version. But yeah, math will be required for any of our degrees. So that one is a definitive. There's no getting out of math unless you took calc at another college or university or so forth. Could you repeat deadline to apply for the scholarship? Yes, I can. The scholarship deadlines, it's beginning of March, I believe March 1st for the fall session, which begins in August. Sounds so weird. It's still going to be summer, but we call it fall. So March 1st is the deadline for fall. And we passed November 1st is the deadline for the spring scholarships. And our spring session just started in January, which is winter. Not to confuse everyone. Hopefully that answers. March 1st, deadline for fall. November 1st, deadline for spring. Good questions, you guys. Got any other questions? Well, we don't want to force you to stay on. What I find too is after things have percolated, because I talked at you nonstop for about 40 plus minutes, you may come up with things. I know I've told some of you that I've met with recently, reach out anytime. If you think of other things, let me know. If I don't know, I'll figure it out. For those of you that haven't spoken to your rep yet, feel free to reach out to them if something comes up. But if there are no other questions, we're gonna bid you a good night. Be safe tomorrow with all the snow. And I want to thank Victoria and Juan for sitting in and answering and being a part of tonight's session as well, and answering questions. So thank you both. And if that's it, I'm going to turn this session off and end it. So thank you, everybody.